Hey guys, it's Ryan from the Centre for Healing here. Today I want to talk about that word at the end of our name, healing. So many people come in here and they say, I was searching online and I just came into you guys because I love that word healing. So many people say that, I can't tell you. I like it too, it's a great word. And people say, I normally ask them, what does that word mean to you? Or what does it mean? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know what it means, I just like it. So today I want to talk about what healing means when it comes to a lot of what we do. So the word heal means to become whole again, okay? So to become whole. So what does that mean? How do I become more whole as a person? Do I need to add an extra arm or something? That's not what it's about. So to become whole again means to do with our mind, to do with our emotions, to do with our body. When we have events that happen into our life, so we have memories, okay? We have memories of things that have happened to us throughout our life. When I have a normal memory or a happy memory, it kind of works like this. If you think back to a time in your life when something great or something happy happened, that could be the birth of a child, that can be your wedding day, that can be a sporting contest where you won or things went really well. You can access that memory, and that memory has a start, a middle, and an end. There's a sequential order. You can tell a story about what happened. That's how normal kind of day-to-day memories are stored, and we can draw on them when we need to. When we have traumatic memories, so negative events in our life, highly emotional events from the negative sense happen to us, those memories get stored differently, okay? Those memories get stored in pieces. We essentially fragment the information coming into our senses when we have one of these traumatic events. There's a reason for that, okay? There's a really important reason actually, because when we go through an event, generally when we're younger, and that event is far too painful to be fully present in our bodies, we fragment as a coping mechanism. It's kind of a way for our mind to get through that event and survive as best as possible. Okay, so we detach and fragment that information coming in. So what happens, these memories don't get stored in a nice clean story with a start, middle, and end. They're kind of all over the place. You know, we might have, say if we get triggered by a smell and we smell something and all of a sudden we have this feeling of dread come up and we don't know what the hell's going on. We might see something in a TV show or a movie and all of a sudden we have a flash of a still image of something that might have happened around that time, something that scares us. Maybe we hear something on the radio and something that was said triggers a word or a sentence that goes over and over again, and they're just kind of flashes and they're a bit all over the place. Fragmented, like I said. The idea of healing those is then to take these fragmented memories, these traumatic memories, and make them whole again, okay? Why is this important? Well, when we have one of these traumatic memories, our body, our subconscious mind wants to remember them because it wants to help us avoid them in the future, okay? What happens, which is kind of interesting, is because we don't have conscious, we can't recall the memory and tell the story of it, we tend to remember the memory by playing out what happened or something similar to what happened. So it's like our body is remembering through action as opposed to our conscious mind calling on a memory for recall, okay? So what happens, we find that the destructive patterns that we have in our life, certain behaviors that we don't like or are destructive, tend to get played out because that's the way our body remembers what happened. Yeah, this can show up in so many forms. It can show up in self-sabotaging behavior. It can show up in feeling like a constant disappointment to our friends and family. It can show up in promiscuity. It can show up in putting ourselves in very dangerous situations all the time. And we play out these actions or these behaviors generally unconsciously, and we just think, bloody hell, why do I keep doing this shit? But it's our body's way of remembering the event. So to heal that is to go back in a very, very safe place, because you need to be safe, because the reason why we fragmented in the first place is because we didn't feel safe at all. Generally with someone, a professional to help you, but be able to actually go back and first of all go into the body and find out what this traumatic memory is and actually start to process that through the body, because we need to let our body know that whatever was happening 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago, however long it was, that's over. Okay, because what happens, because we don't have conscious recall, whenever we get triggered by a sight, a smell, a sound, a taste, we all of a sudden get triggered in our body and we start to have those feelings. It could be dread, it could be fear, it could be shame, it could be guilt, whatever, right? And our body thinks that whatever traumatic event was happening to us years ago is happening now. So we're essentially stuck in the past. We're just living the past, and our body doesn't understand that it's over now. So by being in a safe place with someone generally to hold their hand, that's when we can start to not run away from the feeling of dread or fear or guilt, whatever it is, but actually sit with it and be with it and connect with our body instead of being generally disconnected, and start to sit with and allow our body to process whatever it's feeling. Once we're able to process whatever it's feeling in a very, very safe place, we can start to surrender and let go, and our body can let go of whatever that feeling was, okay? Our body can start to understand, it's over. Okay, very, very important to get to that point. Once our body lets go and understands that it's over, what will happen is you'll start to be able to put all the pieces back together of what actually happened in your mind now. Okay, you'll be able to understand, hey, this is what happened at the start, the middle, and the end, and we can have a story around whatever this memory was. And we can start to get some understanding, even some learnings around what happened. This is really, really cool and very, very healing for two reasons. Number one, we'll stop getting triggered. Okay, once we can place that into a story and we've processed the feeling and the emotion and our body knows it's over, those certain sights, smells, sounds, whatever they were that triggered us before will not trigger us anymore. And we can stop having that feeling of dread or guilt or fear, whatever it was. Secondly, which is really, really, this is a cool thing, those self-sabotaging and negative behaviors that we tend to hate about ourselves and not know why we do them, they will stop. Because now I can recall on the memory and understand it and tell a story. My body doesn't need to remember it through action anymore. Okay, this is how we break the pattern of those self-sabotaging behaviors, by able to address our fragmented traumatic memories and be able to put them back together so we are whole again, so we've healed. Okay, this stuff can be anything. You guys are probably thinking, hey, I haven't been raped, or I haven't had this physical abuse, or this and this and this. I mean, traumatic memory can be anything. It can be just made to be felt like an outcast at school. It can be being lost at the shops for half an hour at Kmart or something, right? Traumatic memory doesn't have to mean those classic kind of PTSD things that we think about, but it is those as well, obviously. So the word healing, it's a beautiful word and people resonate with it, I think, because it means to become whole, and everyone, that's what our goal is. Everyone who I've met, including myself, is on a journey of wanting to feel whole and wanting to feel connected with themselves and the universe.